Hi, I'm Kathy Roberts. I'm the Tidy Tutor. And before we begin, first I want to say welcome, everybody. I'm so happy you're here. And I would love to know that you could hear me because this is technology and sometimes things don't exactly work quite right. So if anybody can hear me, on the right side of your screen, you'll see like a little control panel. And so if someone will just raise their hand, there's a little hand there you could click on, or you can type in. All right, thanks, Patty. All right, thanks, everybody. Wonderful. Okay. All right, that's great. So we're going to get started. Thanks, everybody. Oh, it's so great to see everybody. I'm so happy you're here. All right, so I'm going to get started. I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. This is really going to be exciting. My name is Kathy Roberts, and I am the Tidy Tutor. I know there are some people here that don't know me at all. And so I just want to give a slight introduction to who I am. So for those of you who don't know me, what I'm all about is I help the right-brained people, mainly creative people, find focus in their everyday living and get organized. That's what I do. Now, we all know people who are born gifted in certain areas like music, for example, but we also know that people who have no musical ability can learn music and become proficient at it. And I believe that being organized is a learned skill and that we're not all born with the gift of order. So just as we can learn how to play an instrument, I believe that we can also learn how to become organized. And this is like the Tidy Tutor in a nutshell. And this has proven to be true over and over again. Now, the purpose of this webinar is to answer the question that I get in a lot of emails, which is how to incorporate exercise into our lives. Now, I met Kendra, you see her lovely picture up there. I met Kendra at a meeting in Manhattan. And wait, let me push this. Okay, that's better, right? All right, I met Kendra at a meeting in Manhattan, and she's our special guest tonight. I found out what she did when we were talking, and I asked her if she could help me answer that question. And she graciously accepted. And so here we are. And I really want to welcome Kendra. I'm going to unmute you for a second. Let me find you. Okay. All right. Okay, Kendra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, everyone.
Well, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for being here. I know that, you're very due to have your baby soon. It's very exciting, right?
Yes, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. No, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so I'm just going to go on with some of my slides and then I'll turn it over to you, okay?
Okay, sounds
All right.
great.
Do you want me to keep you, I don't know what you have going on in your house. Do you want me to keep you, open, or you want me to unmute you?
You can mute me. I have cats.
Okay. All right. All right. It's done. Okay. So sometimes I think that, we just have to know sometimes, sometimes I think we don't know that we can and we don't know what is possible. And a lot of times I think that that is, a real key to just actually succeeding, if we're always working so hard at getting the house cleaned up or trying to, we could say to ourselves, how the heck can we make time for exercise? Now, if the organizationally gifted wrestle with making exercise a priority and finding time for it, then it's no wonder that OCs, and by OCs I mean organizationally challenged people do, just knowing that we can sometimes, because if we're in a state where we feel like, like nothing ever changes and we don't have an example of how it actually can, a lot of times I think we just feel like, why bother? You know, in the category of housework, for example, trying to get it together for so long, but seeing no improvement. Like, let's face it, I was going to say ladies, but we do have a few gentlemen on here, trying so hard for a long time to do something, it's really easy to get discouraged. And, sometimes we could just say, like, why bother? And almost feel like it's futile. Futile means this: incapable of producing any useful result, pointless. A synonyms of it is fruitless, vain, pointless, useless, ineffective. And a lot of times, I think that that is, where we stand. I know we feel this so many times, and I think that if we can avoid this feeling, that we'll find success. I really believe that. I know that that's the way I feel a lot of times, especially with exercise, because the first 3 months, you don't even see anything happening. And when we have worked trying to get organized and we don't have a plan, it's really easy to work so hard for so long and not see anything. I know that, it's typical of, like, say, a significant other coming home and saying, "What did you do all day?" But in reality, you worked very hard. So that's why sometimes this feeling of futility, happens. Um, Now, the thing is, though, that somehow we have a belief that things can change, and we step out on faith that they will. It is what we're all doing here right now. Like, I believe that knowing things can change is more than half the battle. We have a plan. All right. Now, this is what Benjamin Franklin said. Okay. Benjamin Franklin said, if you plan to fail, you are failing to plan. Wait a minute. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So it's necessary. Okay. But it's only part of the picture, because here's another, let's face it. We all have come up with plans. I remember, I'm a big, I'm a prayer, you know what I mean? And when I need help, I go to God. And for many years, I would journal, I still do, but I would journal, and sometimes I would, be writing things, and I'd get an inspiration for something. And sometimes I would just throw my pen down and, like, look up at the sky or the ceiling, as it were, and say, another plan, God, another plan. And, what I realized was that there's a lot of times that I begin a plan, but I don't push through. I go to a certain point, and that's what God reminded me at the one particular time. That actually, it was that particular time that I said another plan. And, in my heart, it was just like, well, how many things have you actually stuck to? And I think that the reason that I would give up is because I really didn't believe that things would change, and I didn't have any support either. And so, it's what we need, and that's kind of what we're doing here, isn't it? We're learning new things, we're believing that there can be a change, and we're knowing that somebody has the answer, right? So, let's see, this is something I think is really, really, um I don't know what's the word. If anybody that really, really knows me here, you know that I have this issue with words. So when I used to teach my live classes, I would, like, it was almost like charades sometimes. So if anybody has the word that I'm looking for, you can just, like, type it in. Okay. All right. So I think this is, I don't know, I guess the word paramount is something I could use, but it's not the word I'm looking for. Support plus been there and done that, it equals victory. Like, can you, like, see that in your mind? Like, getting the support that you need, but by someone that has been there and done that. Like, I tell this story, or I just told this story in my last coffee talk that we had. Coffee talk is like a meeting that my insiders have. It's a group of people that belong to a club. Essential, vital. Thank you, Ingrid. Yes, this is essential, and it is vital. Right. Okay, thanks. The story that I told, and I'll keep this short because I don't want to take up, too much of this time, is that one time I was in a really bad car accident, and I was in the hospital, and I was, in traction, and I was very broken up. And I remember thinking to myself how much I wish somebody would walk through that door that had been where I was and show me that I was going to be okay. Because in my mind, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that I was going to be, like, whole again, because, you're in a place you've never were before. And if you're in a place that you've been for such a long time, then it's no wonder that we feel like we need somebody to step up and say, I've been there, I've done that, and yes, things can change. Okay. Now, I believe that success begins with knowing that we can, right? Because we know some things about us, we can set ourselves up for success. All right. I believe that our first step is to finally succeed is knowing that we can, knowing what is possible. All right. Now, because we know certain things about ourselves, um, and that's what a lot of what I do is about. It's about like recognizing who we are, how we think, and then working with that. Not trying to be Martha Stewart, because we're not Martha Stewart. And it's no wonder why all of that has never worked for us. So setting ourselves up to succeed. Okay, this is some of my practical parts of how to get exercise into our lives. Now, yeah, we heard the phrase knowledge is power. And I think some of these things will really help. We tend to make excuses. And so like sometimes we'll just feel like we're tired and we're exhausted. Whereas the organizationally gifted, there is no excuse for them. They don't care if they're tired. They're not going to leave dishes in the sink. But if you know that like getting tired is one of the things, then avoid being tired. And this is some of the ways you can do that. If you make it a rule not to eat past 8 p.m., this will help you wake up less tired in the morning. Eating a light snack after dinner will help you wake up with more energy too, because it has been, what is it? Research has shown that digestion takes a lot of energy. It's been said that it takes up as much energy as, swimming laps. So if you've eaten something heavy, after dinner or before bed, then all night long you're running laps. So it's no wonder that waking up in the morning can be difficult. And then other things like understanding that certain foods that we think might be good for us actually aren't, like margarine, aspartame, which is artificial sweetener, and a lot of low fat foods are actually not good for you, and it adds to fatigue and weight gain. So getting some knowledge when it comes to like realizing that media doesn't always know everything, and the mainstream isn't always right. Like one low fat thing that I can give an example of is half and half, low fat half and half. I'm telling you, go with the fat, holy mackerel. If you see the list of chemicals that they have in there to give you the flavor of the fat, you would say, oh, give me the fat, because your body doesn't know what to do with those chemicals. Now, here's some simple take control. This is actually, I think, it's some simple take control things that we can do and how it works. All right. Now, in Tidy Tutor University, we have a menu plan and a grocery list. And the reason that we have that in our getting organized system is because, of course, getting groceries and having dinner is part of being organized and living the life that we want to live, not behind the eight ball all the time, not having to run out for this and run out for that or have to get takeout. So this is one example, okay? But this is what we do. And for anybody on this call, I will absolutely, send you this, little template of this, and you could do this on your own. If you plan your meals, you will be planning success when it comes to, weight gain and feeling better, because you're not going to be, grabbing things on the run all the time. And so here is a nice little solution for that. We have a menu plan and grocery list. On the top here, if you can see my cursor spinning, on the top here is our menu plan. And this is just an example of one of mine. And on the bottom here is the grocery list, okay? So you write on the top everything you'd want for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all the snacks that you might have during the week. And so you write down whatever it is that you want to make during the week. Now, listen, even if you don't know what is really like the greatest, combinations of food and the best way to incorporate, food for weight loss or for what is that called when you have muscle strength? I think that's the right word. Like my daughter Katie, she's kind of like a bodybuilder. Well, I guess she is a little bit, and I guess that's what she is. Or she goes to the gym on a regular basis, and she is, ridiculously fit. Now she eats on purpose. She eats to accommodate, the kind of body that she wants. Okay, and so even if you don't do that, just doing this to the best of your ability will absolutely, take you from one place to another in success, because you're not eating out. You're not grabbing things as you can. When you're hungry, you're going to eat anything. And when you don't have stuff in your house, you're going to grab whatever's there. So if you don't have the right things at home, what you're going to do is if you have a bag of potato chips in the house and you don't have any other choice, you're going to eat it, even if you don't want it. So this is one way that you can, that you can really help to ensure that you got control, that it's not about, like your feeling, the feeling that you have in your gut when you want something to eat. All right. So believe me, anybody that wants this, I'd be so happy to share it with you. Okay. So that was my portion of this webinar. And of course, I could have more, but this isn't about me tonight. This is about Kendra and what she has to offer. Now, I have a couple of questions for you, Kendra, and then, I'll let you go, or we could do it the other way around. I'll see the way you would prefer to move ahead. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you now. And Kendra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And if anybody has questions before we start, I'm happy to answer a few. And then, if people have questions in between, and we can definitely take questions at the end as well.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so I'm going to do the change thing. Okay, I said okay, so hopefully it'll happen. Is it happening?
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yay! All right, make it
Okay,
bigger.
great. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and put the slideshow on.
All right, great. All right, everybody else is cool, right? All right, I can see. All right, Lacey said I can see Kendra's screen. Lacey's my assistant. She is the bomb diggity. I could never have done this without her.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Okay, all right. Take
So
it away.
questions. So the questions will show up on here?
Yes. Now, do you see it? Do you see the little dashboard
I
thing?
do.
So if you want to, I can read the questions to you so that you don't have to. Tim says,
Sure.
"Hi, Kendra."
Hi.
All right. Well, one of the questions that I have is, um, sometimes I feel like I used to go to the gym on a regular basis and I was completely addicted to it, where I would I became so, accustomed to it that it would be like, I'd go in the morning because I had to go before my day started, or I knew it didn't get done. So I would go around 5 o'clock in the morning, and that would make sure that I'd get the time in. But then what ended up happening was after a while, it would be like maybe, 5 or 6 at night, and I'd be passing the gym, and I would just stop there just to get on the treadmill or to do something because it had become like enjoyable. And then what happened was I stopped going to the gym because I thought, I got this. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't have to keep going to the gym. I'll do it at home. I could do all of this at home. I have something in the basement I could use for, some of the things that I do. And then I, slowed down is what happened to me. Is I slowed down, and I began to think again, like I did right from the start, like why am I bothering? Like I almost feel like um being at home and doing it is not going to give me the results that I had before. So I want to know, is it really necessary to have to be at the gym? Maybe if I just change my mindset about it, that I would be more faithful and all of that.
That's a great question because, I think the benefit of being at the gym is that you're so focused on the one thing that you're there to do, which is work out. I don't see that many people bringing their computers to the gym, or obviously people have phones and that kind of thing, and newspapers and magazines, but the distractions that you have at home are not often the same distractions that you have at the gym. So I think it can be a little more challenging to try to work out at home, especially if you don't have a room or a space that's completely dedicated to just working out and being able to turn off the phone, turn off the ding on your computer so that if you get an email, you're not like, oh no, I have to answer that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it is possible because I know people who do it. And but I think being very consistent with creating a space for your exercise at home and creating a ritual around it is very helpful so that um, it becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of your schedule. And it does take a little more effort to cut out all of the kind of background noise and the life that kind of comes into the picture. I know for me, when I do yoga at home, I have 2 cats, as I said before, and they love to be on the yoga mat. Every time I put it down, they're right there with me, which is cute but annoying. So, I have to make sure that I'm in a room where they can't get to me and make sure they're preoccupied. And then your mind just starts wandering if you get too far into, what's around you in your apartment or in your house. So I think finding a really specific spot and having that spot dedicated to working out can be really helpful.
All right, let me ask you this, because I like being home and doing it, and I will take the time to do it. But I think that I am not very sure at what is a really effective home workout. What,
Mhm.
how would I know that I'm not wasting, that I'm not just like moving around? And I know that like moving around has its benefits. If I'm breathing heavy and all of that, there's things that are happening. But we all would like specific things, like a tighter butt and like better legs.
Right. Well,
Definition
there
of
are,
arms.
yeah, there are specific things actually. There's always the DVDs and the, online exercises and things like Daily Burn and Yoga Glow that you can sign in and kind of log into a class and they're on demand. There are a lot of things, new things coming up that create this virtual experience at home.
Hmm.
And actually, one of them is a company that I'm a co-founder of called Jimagogo. And Kathy, you've taken a class with us before.
Loved
They're
it.
actually
I took
live. Oh,
several.
great. Yeah, it's live interactive exercise classes at home. So you log into the class from your computer, and there's a live instructor at the exact same time that you're working out on the other side of the screen, teaching you, giving you feedback, and giving you, one-on-one guidance in a class setting.
Yeah, I
And you don't
love.
even have to leave your house. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's called Jimagogo, if anybody wants to check it out.
It really is. It's so great.
Yeah.
When I took it, I went, the first class that I took was a free class, and I thought to myself, how really effective could this be? And I've taken yoga classes before, and it was as good as any in class live yoga class I've ever taken. It was wonderful. Like she was saying, no, Kathy, lift your leg a little bit more. Look to your right. Look over your shoulder. I mean, it was really, really great. And when I was done, I felt good. And so, of course, I signed up for 5 beginner classes because I'm definitely not yet past the beginner stage. So I was really,
Great.
I am absolutely a fan of that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks. So are there other questions, or should I jump into my little presentation here?
Yeah, you might as well. I don't see any questions. If there's any
Okay.
questions, type them in and we'll get to them.
Yeah, and feel free to interrupt me, Kathy, if we need to stop for questions.
Okay.
So, hi everyone. I'm Kendra Coppey Fitzgerald. I'm so delighted to be here and happy to share my hopefully inspiration with you. I'm the founder of Barefoot Tiger, which is an in-home concierge fitness company in New York City and LA. And we offer in-home training and yoga and massage therapy one-on-one sessions at home in New York City and LA. And as I just mentioned as well, also the co-founder of Jimagogo, which is the online virtual and interactive classes. So I have a wide uh, experience in personal training and yoga, nutrition, counseling, and anatomy is my big star in the sky. I love anatomy, so if you have questions about injuries and that kind of thing, we can talk offline, but that's definitely something I love. So what we're going to talk about today is fitting exercise into your life. And um, let's see. There we go. Okay. So what inspired you to be on this call? There's obviously a reason why you're here. And for most people, it's you want to include exercise into your life. You may not have time to just have time to get yourself to work, but maybe not have time to fit exercise in each day. You have great intentions of exercising, but you're so tired in the morning or at the end of the day that it just doesn't happen. and you want to take better care of yourself, which is number one on your to-do list, but it seems to get pushed further and further down the list, and you finally want to make some changes. So before we get started, I just want you to take a second and grab a pen and paper, because in a little bit we're going to write a few things down. I'm a firm believer of writing things down and being held accountable for things. So if you can grab a pen and paper, it's close by, just take a second. And we're going to take some time to think about how healthy you can be. You know, one of the things that I focus on a lot in my work is making sure that we know why we're doing what we're doing. Because if there's no purpose behind it, we won't stick to it very long. And I think it's a great thing to check in with where you are right now so you can start to see where the changes need to happen. So where are you right now? What does your current routine look like? And you don't have to write this down, but just kind of reflect on it a little bit. Take a second to think about, what does your current routine look like? And about that current routine, what is good about your current routine? Can you think of some things that you really like, that you really enjoy? And if you want to write these down, you certainly can. I'm going to go through them a little bit quickly. So with your current routine, what could be improved? Is there anything that could be slightly improved or better? What has worked in the past? Because past success is a very good indicator of future success.
All right, wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to mute me, you can. I mean, it's quiet here, but you never know. What I wanted to ask is, should we be writing down any of this?
You don't have to.
Okay.
No, just kind of reflect on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what has worked in the past? And then also, let's see, what has not worked in the past? Because it's important to know what hasn't worked in the past and how we can change those things, maybe even make slight modifications to make us more successful in the future. Okay, so just take a second, think through that. I'm going to give you a couple seconds of silence. Think about you know, what your weekly routine looks like, what you like about it, what you enjoy about it, what you don't love about it, what could be improved, what you've stuck with over the past few years, and what hasn't worked for you at all. Okay, so now that you have that picture in your mind of kind of where you are now, like what the picture looks like for you, let's talk about making it a priority. Because if something is not a priority, if you're not finding the time to do something, it's often not very high on the priority list. So I've found that what we prioritize and what we really care about, we will make time to do. We all have the same 24 hours a day. We all have the same 7 days a week. And what we do with it is our own personal priority. So, you know, what is your priority, really? And where do you want to spend your time? So if it's something that you really want to make changes in your fitness and your wellness and your exercise and your nutrition, how much of a priority is it that you actually want to put the time to make some changes? So just think about that. Okay. So what's holding you back? If you have been thinking about making changes and maybe, you know, might be on the fence about it, or make one change and then don't stick with it and kind of waffle between things or change every week, what is it that's holding you back from making this change and sticking with it? Oftentimes I think there is a little bit of fear about change, and the fear of what's going to happen if I make this change? What's going to happen if I actually stick with this? And this is kind of an emotional check-in, if you will, because I know that working out and feeling physically good is a very emotional, we have a very emotional connection with it. So it's good to check in with where you're coming from a mental standpoint before you get into the physical. Like I said, why you're doing what you're doing. So what do you fear about making this change? Are there things that you're fearful of? Are you fearful of being judged at the gym? Are you fearful of what your friends or colleagues might think? Or are you fearful of losing time? Are you fearful of not succeeding? So it's good just to point these out and see where your fear lies. And on that note, how do your friends and family feel about you making a change? Are you afraid of what your friends and family might say? Will they judge you for, trying to get to the gym more often, or, spending time at the gym versus spending time with your family? Is something to think about. And then what has held you back from making these changes in the past? And what's holding you back from making these changes now? So can you think of something that is keeping you from doing this? Is it your job? Is it feeling guilty about going to the gym and feeling like it's a luxury and working out and not spending time with your family? So just a lot of different things you can think of. So the question I want to ask you is, do we really need to make changes? And my answer is yes, we do, because change does not happen until something changes. Change does not happen until something changes. We can't expect anything to change unless we make a change in the first place. And Albert Einstein says that insanity, the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I truly believe that, if we have these patterns that we're consistently stuck in and we're not changing them, we're not changing things, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, then we're just continuing to do the same things over and over again. And I guess according to Einstein, we might be insane. But we do need to make changes in order to have changes happen. And another thing to think of the mantra of we reap what we sow. So if you want to grow oats, if you're growing a field of oats, I don't think you want to plant apples. So think about where you want to go and what you want to accomplish, what that goal is, what that end goal is, and try to think about the little steps that will get you there. So think broad, and then step back and think, how can I get there? What seeds can I plant now to get further out in the future? Okay. And change is not change is a process, not an event. And I love this because it really is a process. It's not a one-time thing. When you make a change, it really takes a long time to get through the entirety of the change. So change is a process, not a singular event. Kind of like that way of summarizing it. Okay, so how do you make those changes? Let's take a look at the motivation behind it. And we're going to get to some tangible ideas in just a minute, but I want to really dig into this a little bit. Given no barriers, what is your ideal situation? Okay, so feel free to write this down now if you want. We're going to come back to it a little bit later and dig a little bit deeper, but just take a second to see what does your ideal situation look like in terms of your fitness and your health. So like I said, we're going to dig into this a little deeper. But on your piece of paper, write down how many times a week in your ideal situation are you working out?
So this means that, like, in our imagination, not actually what we're doing,
Yes,
but in our ideal, like
exactly.
what we would see being exactly what we would want.
Exactly, yes. So
Okay.
your ideal situation, yeah. In your ideal situation, how many times a week are you working out? You can write that down. In your ideal situation, exactly when and where are you working out? And in that ideal situation, what would be your favorite modality of working out? Is it running? Is it yoga? Is it kickboxing? Is it dancing? Is it live with other people? Is it at the gym? Is it with a DVD? Just throwing out ideas here. What would be your idea of your favorite modality of working out? Which would make it not feel like working out? Okay. So your ideal situation, hopefully you have a few ideas written down. And then think about how you would feel if this ideal situation were true. How would you feel if you were getting to the gym these numbers of times per week? If it was fitting into your schedule, if you were doing something that you loved, how would it make you feel? And feel free to write that down too. Okay, and continuing on that, given that this ideal situation were true, if this ideal situation were true, what could be better or possible in your life? So if you had a consistent workout schedule, what do you think would be the positives that would come out of it? And you can jot down a few ideas. Maybe you'd have more energy for your family. Maybe you'd have more energy when you wake up. You could, maybe you'd be more mentally focused. Maybe you'd perform better at work. Maybe you would be a better influence for your kids. You know, anything that would be better or more possible in your life if this ideal workout situation, fitness situation were true. And then how would your friends and family react if this ideal situation were to become reality? How do you think they would react to you taking on this project? Would they be, you know, fully supportive and excited? Would they want to join in with you? Just think about how they would react. And then again, how would you feel if this ideal situation were true? Just really kind of get into the, you know, the heart center. Okay. So now that we've accessed that kind of feeling of what it would feel like to have this great, you know, this great feeling around exercise and have it be really solid in your schedule, let's look at a few ways to make this ideal situation come true. Okay, so tangible, very tangible. So here are a few examples of how to fit exercise into your life. And these are just examples, and you may have already come up with a few when we were talking about your ideal situation. But I have to say that every little bit counts. It all counts. And the great thing is there's a whole part of exercise called NEAT, and it's everyday chores that create calorie burning. And what I love about Tidy Tutors is that you're actually helping yourself burn more calories by organizing, which is great. So, I mean, simple things that you do all day long, as long as you're moving and you're using your body and you're not sitting still. Sitting is the worst thing you can do for your energy level and your fitness. You're burning calories, you're building muscles, you're, you know, staying active and using your body. So just a few examples are moving furniture and household items burns 340 calories an hour. That's crazy. Packing and unpacking boxes with light or moderate effort is 170 calories per hour. So if you're, you know, organizing your books or organizing a shelf or putting things away, you're still burning calories. Making beds for 30 minutes burns 130 calories, which is the same number you'd use if you jogged on the treadmill or on flat terrain for 15 minutes. That's pretty cool, I think.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Cleaning windows for 30 minutes burns 125 calories, the same number used in 20 minutes of power yoga. And that's about a third of the length of a power yoga class. So, and not to mention that, you know, you get really great arms from cleaning windows because you have to use your arms the whole time. So a few more. There's a lot of them. Doing laundry or packing a suitcase burns 68 calories an hour. So you're, you know, going back and forth. If you add putting away clothes to that while walking around, you burn 88 calories an hour. So doing laundry and, you know, putting clothes away, you're actually being active. Scrubbing the bath for 30 minutes burns 200 calories. Loading the dishwasher for 30 minutes burns 105 calories, but that's 160 calories if you're washing them by hand. However, if you are concerned about saving water and all of that, you can load them in the dishwasher. Vacuuming for 30 minutes burns 90 calories, about the equivalent of 15 minutes of kickboxing. That's pretty cool, and you get clean floors at the same time. And dusting for 30 minutes burns about 50 calories. So when you add all of this up, you're spending time organizing and decluttering your house and keeping a clean space, which not only helps you uh, psychologically just have a nice clean space, you're also helping your body by continually moving and staying really active. So that's a really easy way to fit exercise into your day, is to create part of it as from your organizing and your cleaning.
That's
Okay,
really
so
great
if
because we'd love to have motivation to get something done. You know, like if you know somebody's coming, you will have that motivation to move faster. And really, kind of in the back of your mind, if you say, all right, well, you know what, I'm going to do my, my routine. I'm going to get my detailed cleaning list done. And because I know that I'm going to be burning X amount of calories by doing it, I think it's a nice little added incentive to get it going on.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. So we have a few more, let's see, a few more. So a few more examples of how to fit exercise into your life, and these are more like day-to-day kind of things that you can do. That it doesn't have to be specific exercise. You don't have to go to the gym to get exercise. It can be as simple as for metropolitan or New York City people, take the subway one stop further from your regular stop and walk the rest of the way.
Hmm.
Take it two stops and walk the rest of the way. 20 city blocks is a mile. And you'd be surprised how fast that goes in New York City, because you're walking and each block is a little bit different, and there's so many people to look at and things to see, and hopefully we're not on our iPhones. But picking up a good pace, you can cover a mile in very little time, and it doesn't feel like exercise most of the time. Um, at work, walking over to your colleague and talk to them instead of sending an email. Because of course, FaceTime is great. We like to be interactive with each other, and getting up and down. And if you do sit at a desk all day long, try to sit as little as possible. Even stand up. They've come out with these standing desks, which are fantastic. And I do the same thing too. I sit and stand all day long, um, just to, keep from sitting too long. If you tend to drive, you can park further away from the store entrance and walk across the parking lot. It might sound crazy, like, why on earth would I want to do that? But it's actually really helpful because, well, not only will your car get fewer dings because people won't be banging into your doors, but if you park way out, you can, get a little extra exercise, and that little extra counts. Everything counts. If you work from home, you can invest in a small stepper or elliptical machine and step, or I guess you call it elliptical, ellipticalize while you work, which is actually something that I do. And I have this tiny little, it's not electric, it's all based on hydraulics. And it's a tiny little machine, best $60 I've ever spent. Well, not ever, but on something like this.
One of.
It's yeah, it's a tiny little elliptical machine, and I put it right underneath the bar in our kitchen. It's the perfect height. I put my computer there, and I get on my step machine, and I just step and walk basically while I'm working. And when I'm putting together a mailing, or I'm writing a blog or anything, I'll do that at the same time. Before I know it, I've been on it for 45 minutes.
That's
When my
fast.
legs, yeah,
That's
it's so
fast.
great. It's so great. And sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes I've gotten on it and been like, whoa, 75 minutes. How did that happen?
Wow, that's great.
It's really great. And actually, I wrote a blog about it, Work It While You Work, on my Barefoot Tiger blog. So if you want to go check it out, there's actually a link to the actual stepper that I got. Like I said, best $60 ever. And I knew it was time to stop working when my legs were getting tired. That's the other thing. It kind of gave me a timer to stop working and be like, okay, I've done enough here. I need to get off. My legs are tired. Let's move on. So it's a great one. Yeah. So, more examples of how to fit exercise into your life. And this kind of goes along with the accountability idea and finding a workout buddy, whether it's a friend or a personal trainer, someone that you're accountable to, someone who, you'll meet in the morning, say you want to go to a 6 a.m. class. If you tell someone that you're going to meet them at the gym, very rarely would you just be like, oh, no, it's okay. Because they're getting up as well. They're going to be there too. So it's a great idea to find a workout buddy and someone who can be there to support you. And like Kathy said before, support is a huge component of being successful in any of this, fitness and wellness, fitting it into your life. And on that note, if you're motivated by money in terms of having to spend money, I know oftentimes, people use personal trainers, and because if you're paying for it, you're going to show up, right?
Yeah.
But this is interesting. Gym Pact. I love this idea. Sign up for Gym Pact. It's a log, basically, that you make a promise each week to go to the gym, however many times per week, which days you decide. You log it into the system, and when you go, you get paid. When you don't, you have to pay as a consequence.
Wow.
And it's amazing. So you can actually earn money every time you go to the gym when you sign up for Gym Pact. And P.S., I don't have any part of this company. It's not, my company or anything. I just think it's really cool. But basically, the people who don't go or who don't make their goals or make their dates pay for those who do. And I think it's just a really great system and motivational tool. And then finding a schedule that works for you each week and write it into your schedule. So whether it's using Gym Pact and setting those up, I think it's very important to actually put it in your calendar. So make an appointment with yourself, make time for it, make sure that it's in your calendar so that it becomes part of what you're planning to do. Because if you leave it up to, I'm just going to do it when I have time, you'll never find the time. I guarantee it. It's so hard to find the time when you think, I'll do it when I have some free time. So make sure you find the schedule that works for you and write it in and find that accountability buddy to keep you accountable. I'd like to do it at the beginning of the week. I always put mine in, each week, and it's a really important time. And like we were talking about before, is it a priority for you? If it's something that's a priority, you will find the time to make it happen. And it's okay if it changes over time. If your schedule changes or, you have to make adjustments, that's okay. And finally, spread your workouts throughout the day. Even 10 minutes 3 times a day, that's still 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be consistent. It doesn't have to be, sorry, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't have to be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Consistent, consistent? Is that the word?
Yeah, I think so. Like, back to back.
I'm definitely not the one to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Consecutive. Lacey got it.
Consecutive. Yes. Thank you.
Ingrid was almost there. She came up with conscientious. I knew she was looking for.
Right. Yes. Right. Okay, great. Wait, what was the word? Oh, I've got baby brain.
Consecutive.
Consecutive,
Doesn't
yes.
have to be. See, I didn't know that. I thought that, and see, that was some of the reason too why when I stopped going to the gym and started working out at home, and I found that I had, like, when you go to the gym, let's face it, you drove there, you're paying for it, and so you're going to do all that you can during that time. When I'm home, I'd wake up early enough to do it, but then I wouldn't wake up maybe that early. And then I would start thinking, well, why bother? You're only going to get in like 10 or 15 minutes. So why bother? But, I'm happy that you're telling me this because I definitely can get in another time in the afternoon and another time later. I know I can do that, and I would do that.
Yes.
But sometimes that feeling of futility makes you like, I have this one, we have lots of habits or tips, slogans that we go by. And one of them is don't pass it up, pick it up. And the reason for that is like if you're living in a disaster, after a while, you just start stepping over things. But when you realize that it really does make a difference and it does matter, and then all of a sudden things change. So sometimes just knowing, oh, it's not futile, just do this. And I didn't know that. I really did think it had to be a big block of time for it to make a difference.
Right. Yeah, absolutely not. It can be, broken up throughout the entire day.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's great. Definitely. And it's not all or nothing. It's definitely cumulative. So absolutely break it up into different little spots. And even, you know, at work, taking the stairs, or if you have an apartment building with stairs, if you take the stairs and go up a few extra flights or down a few extra flights, or take the stairs a few extra times a day,
Mm.
you can get in probably about like 15 to 20 minutes of stair climbing,
Right,
depending on what floor you live in, which is pretty cool. And it
yeah.
doesn't feel like exercise, which is the best. I love that.
Me too.
So let's do a little bit of like tangible work. So we're actually going to sit down and work out your schedule. So your personal schedule. So grab that piece of paper. And this is what we're going to work on to help you try to fit exercise into your life, given your schedule, given what you like to do and how much time you have. So grab that piece of paper. If you wrote this down before, you can add to it a little bit. Now that I've given you a couple of ideas of how you can, you know, expand your exercise, and what exercise includes, including organizing and cleaning. So take a second to write down how many times a week this week, starting, let's say starting tomorrow, Tuesday, how many times a week are you going to work out, or will you be working out? So take a second, just write that down, think about your schedule, think about, you know, the nights or the days you have time. So how many times a week are you working out?
All right, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I'm going to say to myself, I know that I will do twice a day, say, 20 minutes and 20 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, would that be twice? Say I want to make sure I work out 5 times a week and I want to walk twice a week. So then would that be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 times because I'd be doing it twice a day for 5 days?
So you could say twice a day for 5 days. Yeah, or you could say 10 times a week,
I
which
think,
I think
yeah,
twice
I
a
think
day
twice a
for
day,
5 days
that
is more
sounds
manageable.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
Because
times
you
a
look at
day
10
for
times a
five
week.
days is something that is a more positive impact on my brain and it'll make something happen.
Exactly, right. Thinking of 10 times in a week seems like, whoa, how
Right.
is I
Two
going to
times
make
a
that
day
happen?
somehow seems manageable and actually fun. 10 times a week seems like holy mackerel.
Exactly, right. It's the same thing, just in different terms.
All
So
right, great.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever
It's
feels
all a
good for you.
perception.
Yep, yep, exactly.
All right, thank you.
All right, yeah, you bet. So the next question is exactly when and where are you working out? So is it in the morning? Is it at lunchtime? Is it in the evening? Are you going to get an elliptical little stepper thing and work while you're, you know, writing a blog? When and where are you going to make this happen? Where can you fit it into your calendar?
I'm telling you, I am loving this, Kendra.
Awesome. Good. So even if you have specific dates, if you want to write down Tuesday, I'm going to do this. Wednesday, I'm going to do this. Thursday, this. Friday, this. Give you a little bit more time. And then you can dig a little bit deeper into exactly what you would do. So is it running? Is it yoga? Is it kickboxing? Dancing? Um, are you going to plan to get off the subway early and, you know, take a few extra blocks? Are you going to walk a mile to your office? It's nice and cool. At least you won't be sweaty. Are you going to take city bike? Will you bike somewhere? What exactly will you do on each of those days? And if you don't know, that's okay. You can kind of think about it later. And if you need to look at the schedule at the gym, that's okay too. But really think about when this is possible, when you can make time with it for it. And then the last question I want you to think about and to write down is who is with you while you're doing these things. Are you by yourself? Are you with a friend? Are you with a running partner that you haven't found yet? So who is it that's supporting you through this? Who's next to you while you're doing all of these things? And even if it's not someone who's right there with you, it might be someone, accountability buddy, um, maybe even the Tidy Tutor alumni group, Facebook group. Who is with you? And then what is the next step you need to take to make this happen? We need to implement and be accountable for it. So go to your calendar right now and physically put it into your calendar. So if you work in iCal, I've created, actually, I do colors in my iCal so that my workouts are red so I don't miss them.
Uh-huh.
My work stuff is blue, my personal stuff is green, my training clients are yellow. Everything is color coded so I know what I'm doing each day. Um, but my workouts are always red, and they're bright red, so I can't miss it. And I put them in there. So go to your calendar and put it in. Put in at least 3 times that you will exercise in the next 7 days. And if you don't have your calendar with you, that's okay. Just you can keep that list and put it in later. And then most important is to share your plans. So you can post your planned exercise times, maybe on the Tidy Tutor Facebook group, and check in after each session. Work with a friend, find that running partner, find that trainer, find that person to be accountable to, and then make yourself accountable. Tell someone about it. And then continue to check in with your accountability buddy. So the number one key to successfully fitting exercise in is consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. I can't say it enough. The more you do it, the more you get into the rhythm. And Kathy, you mentioned this before. You started going to the gym and it became a regular thing, and you were consistent with it. And then when it started to lag a little bit, that becomes the next snowball. So consistency is absolutely key. Without consistency, you won't see results, you won't feel motivated, and you won't be able to continue. So make sure that you're really being consistent and keeping yourself accountable. So I love this quote: the hardest part about training is making the decision to start training at all.
Hmm.
I think that's so true. So if you're making the decision right now to start training and start working out this week and feeling well, the hardest part is over. Now all you have to do is show up. So you've figured out when it fits into your schedule, and the hardest part is done. Go get them. So really quick, because I know we're running low on time, just a few really quick top 10 ways to increase your energy, because I also work with nutrition, and I think nutrition is a big part of energy as well. It makes up 80% of your well-being. Exercise is the other 20%, so nutrition is really, really important. So a few things are reducing or eliminating caffeine. It really stresses your adrenals sometimes. I'm going to go through these quickly. If you have questions about these later, please feel free to email or call me, and I can, talk more about it. Of course, drinking more water is essential for our lives, for us. Eating dark, leafy, green vegetables, those are the best energy producers. They're I can't say enough about it. Reduce the amount of chemical-laden and overly processed foods in your diet. The more whole the foods, the better, definitely. If it came out of the ground and you can see what it looks like and there's not a label on it, chances are it's probably a good food to eat. Use the bowl hands method, and this is a method that I've used a lot with a lot of my clients too, and in terms of weight loss and just managing food intake. If you cup your hands in front of you in like a little bowl, like you're creating a bowl with your hands, that's about the size of your stomach. So it's pretty small if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can think about eating that much in every single meal whenever you eat, one, you might feel hungry at the end of that meal, if you're used to eating more than that. But once you start eating that amount every meal, your stomach is going to accommodate. Because normally our stomachs expand, and our plates and our dishes are so big these days that we just eat everything and our stomachs expand to accommodate it. So if we eat just enough to fill up a bowl, as if, cupping our hands together, that's enough. That's all you should be eating at one meal. So eat that amount and then stop. Again, if you have questions about that, you can email me or call me or ask after this. Obviously, physical activity is a great way to get more energy, more sleep, rest, and relaxation. Evaluate the amount of animal foods you eat because it takes so much energy to process those foods,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the leafy green vegetables and that kind of thing. And take time for yourself. Make sure that you're giving yourself the time to rest and relax. And finally, get rid of relationships that drain you. I think that's a big energy zap. So if you want to explore any of this deeper or get more support, please stay in touch. So put my email, my website. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, so you can check me out and email me after this. But we'll take a few questions. Those burning questions.
Oh, burning questions. That's fun. All right,
Burning
wait, go
questions.
back to the other screen for a second so that we
Sure.
can see your. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type this into here and send it out so that
Okay.
everybody can, like see it and maybe copy and paste it or something. All right, so here's a couple of questions, all right?
Hmm.
First,
Hmm.
let me say thank you so much. That was really, really motivational. It was wonderful. I so appreciate what you've done.
Excellent. You're so welcome.
All right, so Lacey asks, is it just as effective to work out in the evening as it is in the morning? Does it matter?
Uh, it is. The only thing that matters is when your energy is the best. So it's a very personal decision. If you find that you have more energy in the morning and you feel more energetic in the morning, you'll get a better workout in the morning. If you feel more energized at night and you feel like you can work harder at night, then nighttime is better for you. I think sometimes nighttime can be a little challenging though if it's too late at night, it can keep you up. If you're really active at 9:30 at night, if you go to the gym at 9:30, get home at 10:30 and try to go to sleep right away, it can keep you awake.
Right,
So
because it
really
actually gives you more energy. That's something else I
it
wanted to
does.
mention. When I first started going to the gym, back when I used to go to the gym, I remember saying to myself, man, I am like exhausted at the end of the day. It is like, what's it going to be like now? And after about 3 or 4 days, I had and I mean, I really like, whenever I do something, I like do it like, to the wall. So I like, at the when after about 3 or 4 days, I actually had more energy than I did before, and I was convinced that I would be more exhausted, and it was exactly the opposite.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, expending energy begets more energy. It seems like it would be the opposite, but it's actually true. Yeah.
Okay, so here is from Terry. She said,
Mhm.
"Thank you. I haven't exercised in a few years, and I am worried about getting back into it because I now have arthritis in my knees and ankles. Any suggestions?"
Yes, I would say if you can take a session with a trainer or a yoga teacher, a private session. And I know oftentimes gyms will offer a complimentary session or, you know, will offer something for free to get you into it and see if they can help you with your specific issues. So arthritis, and there are a few modifications that you can make, and look for someone who has experience with arthritis. And I would get some one-on-one attention and just ask them very specific questions about, what you can and can't do. There's not much you can't do, but it's just an intensity question.
Right, that's
Um,
wonderful
yeah,
advice. Thank you.
great. Hmm.
Okay, let's see. When you say animal food, are you just talking meat or do you mean dairy as well?
Um,
And this is from
Both.
Destiny.
Hi, Destiny. Yeah, both actually. It's both dairy and animal products. So animal products in general, meat and eggs and dairy. Not saying that you have to cut it out, but limiting it, especially red meats, the heavier meats, they're quite hard for our bodies to digest. So
Yes.
when you have them in smaller doses, it's it helps your body run more efficiently.
And then what do you,
And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and something just about the dairy thing. Dairy actually creates more mucus in the system. I actually had experience with this. I found out I was lactose intolerant because I kept getting sinus infections and really bad sinus infections. And I finally went to an acupuncturist, and he said, let's try cutting you completely off of dairy. And that was 9 years ago, and I haven't had a sinus infection since then.
Hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah.
what was oh, I know. What I was going to ask is, do you have anything to say about like food combinations? I remember like years ago, I read a book called Fit for Life, and they talked about how, I mean, God, this is in the 80s, I think, and I really kind of have gone with that because there's no harm in it, that's for sure. And I have noticed a completely different energy level, as far as like when I'm done eating, I'm not tired. That what they suggested was, if you're going to eat beef, just like you said, that it takes so long to digest, then don't combine it with any other, like say with bread or with
Hmm.
potatoes, something that's like non-alive food that isn't, living with enzymes such as salad and vegetables.
Right. Yes. Right. There actually are, yeah, a few great ideas on food combining. Some of the major ones are eating fruit before anything else because it's the fastest digesting.
Yes, that's another
So,
thing that I did.
yeah, oftentimes we think about eating fruit for dessert,
Hmm.
but it's actually best to eat it before your meal because it digests so quickly.
Right.
And the idea is to eat the quickly digested foods first and
Mhm.
then go to the least or the slowly digested foods last so that the quickly digested foods aren't sitting in the gut and in the stomach at the same time as these slowly digested foods, and it just takes time and it creates more gas
Right.
and more 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 gas.
Yeah, I really have
So
found
think
that to be so beneficial in, just energy
yeah,
level, like where how after you get done with a meal, sometimes you feel like you want to crash, and
right,
that's why. And it really,
yeah,
I mean, it's a simple thing to incorporate in eating. And I mean, sometimes it could, in the beginning, it was a little difficult if you're used to eating bread with everything. But
hmm,
it doesn't take long for you to say, well, I like, you put it on a scale, and you're like, well, bread or feeling good,
right, right, yeah.
And it's
And
not
the
like
other
I don't
thing
ever
is,
have bread. I'll have, if I have like a vegetable meal, which I do quite often, I'll just have like, a sweet potato, a couple of different like steamed vegetables, a big salad. Sometimes I'll have garlic bread with it, but I won't have the garlic bread if I'm having, some kind of a animal.
uh-huh, yeah. The other thing is with fruits, there are specific fruits that shouldn't be eaten with anything. Melons, watermelons, cantaloupe,
Mhm.
honeydew,
Yeah.
because they digest so quickly. And also juices. When you have a juice, it's great to eat it on an empty stomach because the intake is so quick because it goes right into your system. So things like actually there's this thing that I used to eat as a kid that my mom would always make was cantaloupe with prosciutto wrapped around it,
Hmm.
and that just always sticks out in my mind as like one of the worst combinations you can have.
Right. It tastes
Because you have
good.
it tastes good, it tastes great, but it's like a really slowly digested food with a really fat quickly
Right.
digested food. So
Yeah.
if you eat it, just notice what happens with your digestion. If it
Yeah.
causes gas, maybe modify it a little bit.
And something that I've noticed too is sometimes you don't know how bad you feel until you start feeling good.
Yes.
Because if you're used to something, it feels like, well, this is normal. And then you change up a little bit, and you realize, wow, I'm waking up and there's no sleep in my eyes. How does that happen? There used to be, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing happens when you really watch what you're eating. And so anyway, it really is, it's amazing. Like I
Yeah,
said earlier, like knowledge really is power. Like whoever said that, they knew what they were talking about.
definitely.
And just
Yeah.
because we think we know something, sometimes being humble is a wonderful thing. We can't change. What was that you said before? Change doesn't happen unless change happens.
Right, right. Yeah, we can't change unless something changes.
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
All right, let me get that off. Okay. Okay, this is from Crystal. Hi, Crystal. She said, I realize in answering these questions that wait, I have to move this over, that I'm sad about losing the weight and getting back to my pregnancy size because it's letting go of the amazing pregnancy experience. Is that weird? How do I
Uh-huh.
move forward?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's fascinating. And what an amazing revelation. That's amazing, Crystal. Um, it's not weird. It's not weird at all. We hold so many emotions about events and things that happen in our lives and things that we're not even aware of. I think what I would suggest is sitting with that idea a little bit, with the idea of letting go of the weight and how it affects your memories of being pregnant. Um, and I think journaling on it can be really helpful. Just, stream of consciousness, open up a journal page and journal on it and see what comes up, see what comes up for you. Um, and see what it is. There might be something deeper in there that, you haven't really noticed before. Um, and I'd love to chat with you about it offline if you're interested. I'm happy to chat with you a little bit more to ask you some questions about
That's
it. So I
great.
hope that's helpful.
Something that came to my mind, just one thing, is sometimes if we ask a better question to ourselves, like, how, like, if you might say, not that that was a bad question, I didn't mean that at all. Like if you say, well, why, how can I, why am I so fat? Instead of saying that, you could say, how can I lose weight and feel good about it? We'll get different answers. So, maybe, when you meditate on this and you journal on it, just like Kendra suggested, to ask the question, how can I feel good about losing the weight that brings me to feel connected to the pregnancy? And that might just start stimulating different parts that will give you different answers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Okay.
what are the other positive feelings that you have about pregnancy that um, that you relate to the experience of pregnancy that you still have and that you will have if you lose the weight?
Okay. All right. Another question. All right. This was Tim. He said, "Thank you both, ladies. Sweet dreams." Good night, Tim.
Good night, Tim.
Okay. Crystal said, "Yay, thank you."
You bet.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Ingrid said, "Thanks so much. This was fabulous." Ingrid, I think you had another question. Let me get to it. Wait. Um, could Kendra go to the slide before? Oh, I guess this was before when you talked about 10 ways to increase energy.
Oh, sure.
I'll ask another question while you're looking for it. Um, I haven't exercised in years. How should I start to do it without getting out of breath? I don't think that's. Oh, I'll be quiet. It's. Go ahead. Could you answer that question? I haven't exercised for years. How should I start to do it without getting out of breath? And that's Muriel.
Okay. Hi, Muriel. That's a
And
great
ring
question.
Ingrid that you could see that the screen is up.
Yes.
Forgive me for interrupting.
So, no worries. Um, so the best way to start is really slowly. You know, um, Chances are you probably will get out of breath a little bit, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. Um, where you want to fall in your exercise is you should be able to talk but not sing in terms of your intensity level. So if you can't sing when you're wait, you should be able to talk but not sing.
Oh, I
If
love
you
that. I never heard that
Yeah,
before. I love it.
yeah. So if you can sing, you're not working hard enough. If you can sing, the national anthem or happy birthday or something, you're not working hard enough. If you can talk and carry on a conversation, um, but you can't sing, then you're right on. If you can't talk, you're probably working a little too hard.
That's wonderful.
So
Great.
yeah, so it's a great way to just see how hard you're working. And really, the best way to work gradually is exactly that, gradually. So start out slowly, start out, on a really low pace, and then gradually increase your pace a little bit at a time.
All right, great. Something that I've noticed personally was that, when I started exercising again after having fallen off for so long, I started doing kettlebell squats and I did 5 and felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I like sat down. I'm like, my heart is beating like crazy. I'm breathing like a, freak. And I'm like, oh my God. But the thing is that it wasn't very long before I was doing 10 and then, graduated to 3 sets of 40. And like it's a wonder. It's kind of like growing vegetables. Like like if you're good, it's not like growing a tree. Like you put an acorn in the ground, that's going to take quite a while for that tree to become a tree. But you put a tomato seed in the ground, and right at the beginning of, like right like Mother's Day, and then before you know it, you have beautiful tomatoes. And so that's the
Exactly.
way I see exercise. Like it really is. It's a rewarding thing, much quicker than we give it credit for.
Yes, definitely. And I've also found that when you get started back into anything, and if it, no matter how long it's been, and usually when you haven't worked out for 3 weeks is when you start to see the decline. So obviously, if you worked out for less than 3 weeks, or it's been more than 3 weeks, then you have to have a little bit of an adjustment period. But I found out that the first one or two workouts are the most challenging, and then it gets easier from there. So if you can get through two workouts, and two workouts meaning 10 minutes each,
Well, that's great.
just
Uh-huh.
10 minutes, think of, it's a 20-minute commitment. The first two workouts are the hardest ones to get through, and once you get through that, it just gets so much better.
Yeah. Okay, I have a
Just
couple
stick
more
with it.
questions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. This is Becky. I'm recovering from adrenal fatigue. I only drink 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and I'm always trying to eat more dark leafy greens. I know I don't drink enough water though. I don't exercise and I never really have. I want to start exercising, but am having a hard time getting motivated because I'm already so exhausted. Any thoughts? Well, all right, real fast. I just want to say before Kendra says anything, I said this before how I thought that it was going to just like completely drained me, and it actually would like so increased my energy level that I couldn't believe it. And now I'll be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Like you said, it seems like it's going to make you more tired, but it actually it gives you so much more energy. And I've never heard anyone say after working out, "Wow, I wish I hadn't done that."
No,
I've
that's
never heard
true.
anybody say that ever in my 8 years of training.
Okay.
Um, with adrenal fatigue, working your body and working your muscles and getting your blood circulating is really great for flushing out the adrenals and for regulating your adrenal system. So, uh, you can think of it in two different ways as you're increasing your overall energy level, but you're also helping your body become more efficient.
Hmm.
So, in that sense, walking a little bit more, and it doesn't have to be super intense, but even if it is intense, um, your heart, the minute your heart starts pumping a little bit faster, you're really pumping everything through your body a little bit more efficiently. So if you can think of the benefits that you're getting from every single step that you take and every single minute that you're working out, so that those first 10 minutes that you're working out when you just get started, and make it a really tangible or a really manageable piece of exercise. It doesn't have to be an hour on, the elliptical machine, because that's so overwhelming. Just start with 10 minutes,
It's
and
great. It's
then
great for
the
people
next
like
time.
us because we get bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And a really great way to keep boredom from setting in is when you're exercising for 10 minutes, do mini intervals. So if you're um, say walking on a treadmill, walk flat for 1 minute, and then for the next minute, raise the incline up to like a level 4, something that you're working a little bit harder. Lower it back down the next minute to flat, and then lift it back up to 4. Just go up and down, and you'll notice that your cardiovascular health increases really quickly,
Hmm.
because you're stressing and then unstressing, stressing, unstressing, and it's the best exercise for your heart, is that non-steady state. If you're going at the same pace all the time, your heart doesn't get as many benefits. If you can kind of modify it, go intense, not so intense, intense, not so intense, you get many more benefits from your for your heart.
That's great.
So just to kind of go back to the question a little bit, energy begets energy. So I think if you're able to jump in, just try it once and see how you can see how you feel afterwards, and then remember that feeling the next time you're about to do it again, and see if you can, just remember that feeling of how good you feel after you work out, because like I said, nobody ever has ever told me they wish they hadn't worked out that day.
Right. Okay, last question because it's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
What is the bowl method, bowl hands method again? This is from Tim. Tim, I thought you went night-night.
Oh.
Um, well, that's
Yeah.
when you cup your hands. Can I answer? That's and tell me if I got it right. That's when you
Yeah.
cup your hands like you're making a little bowl with it. Like say you're going to get some water out of the, out of the lake or stream, and that's the size of your stomach, and that should be the amount of food that you eat through, when you're having a serving. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it's actually when you're having a meal.
A
So
meal.
all of the food from your meal should be able to fit into your cupped hands.
And that we should have like what, like 6 meals that size a day
Right.
rather
Yeah.
than the
So
three big
smaller,
ones.
yeah, smaller multiple meals. Yeah. So it
Okay,
really limits the amount of calories and limits, um, the amount of food that we're intaking.
got it. This was fabulous. It really was. I'm so happy about this whole thing. I think it was
Excellent.
wonderful.
I'm so glad. Thank you all so much.
Oh, you're welcome so much. I hope you know that my heart is to really make change and to help people realize their dreams and to make things happen. And I just want to help. So, Kendra, I really, really appreciate the time that you took to do this. It really helped me. And I
Yeah,
look forward to, future workings together.
great. And if anyone has any questions for me, you have my email address and website. You can feel free to contact me if you'd like to do like a mini consultation. I'm more than happy to help anyone because I agree. I'm here to help as well. That's why I was
Yes,
put on this
absolutely.
earth.
I'll make sure that when I send out the recording, because this is recorded, and I'll send it out to everybody that I have all of your information on there, so that just in case anybody needs it, they'll definitely, absolutely have it.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Oh, you're welcome so much. All right. I'm going to say good night now, and I hope to see you on the inside. Good night, Kendra.
Good night. Good night, everyone.